Did you know that 58% of Americans don't have more than $1,000 saved, and 44% of Americans don't have enough money to cover a $400 emergency? In this video, I want to talk about realistic saving tips right after this. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Shayla and I'm a stay-at-home mom of 4. I've been married for going on 12 years, and I've been managing our household finances pretty much since the time that we got married. Really since I've been in college, but since the time that we got married. Now, in the last few videos, I've been talking to you guys about how to set financial goals, how to get out of debt, and I had a lot of questions on Instagram about how to save money and realistic saving tips. So that's what this video is all about. And one of the things that has been a blessing for me is the fact that I had parents who kind of set me on the right track and taught me about budgeting and the importance of good credit. And I know that a lot of you, especially if you are younger than a millennial, Gen Z, or what's the other one? I don't know. If you're younger than me, then the trend is that you don't really have a lot of financial literacy, and I would love to change that. I love seeing people take control of their finances and to prepare for generational wealth, to prepare for business endeavors, and to prepare to have money to be generous towards other people. So there are probably a lot of you guys who have a lot of student loan debt or a lot of credit card debt, or you want to save up for your house, or you have no credit at all. And you don't know where to start. You don't know where to start with spending or how to save for a house. And so I want to give you the best piece of advice that I got was to live within your means. But what does that actually look like? When you need to save money, it's really simple. It's stop spending the money that you have. You want to stop spending more than what you're actually bringing in. So let's talk about how to do that. So I've got a list here of realistic saving techniques, things that you can do to get you on the right track towards saving money. I'll expound on as many of them as I can because I don't want to hold you too long. But yeah, let's go ahead and jump right in. And these are in no particular order, by the way, but the first one that I thought of was cutting out subscriptions. Now, we all know that we want to have Netflix, and we want to have Hulu, and we want to have Spotify or Apple Music, and we want to be on YouTube Premium, and there's HBO Max, and there's like the list goes on and on and on of different, especially TV subscriptions that you can have. Do you need all of them? Most of the time, the answer is no. You do not need all of them. And you can do like a whole lot of us do and hop onto somebody else's, or you can go to a friend or a family member and say like, hey, can I get on your subscription? I'll pay you $5 a month versus paying the full $14.99 that Netflix charges you. You know, things like that. Think of creative ways to still get the shows that you want to watch without having to break the bank. And then two, probably you don't need to be watching as much TV as you do. So there's that. The next thing that you could do is you could actually switch banks, do some research and find out what banks have, like which banks have the best perks for what you're looking for. Some have perks for if you have a savings account with them and the interest that you can earn on your savings is higher than another bank. Or maybe they have special deals for auto loans or home loans, or they have special deals if you open up like a certain type of checking account. Banks are always incentivizing being a customer of theirs. So do research on how you can earn money off of the money that you already have in the bank. Next up, we've got reward programs. Now, pretty much every retail and restaurant institution has some sort of rewards program. I download the apps faithfully on my phone because I'm like, if I'm going to be spending money with you and I'm going to be doing it on a regular basis, and all I have to do is sign up for free, like to get a coupon, I'm going to do that. So whether it be for food or whether it be for clothes, because y'all know I got a rack of kids in this house and we always need discounts for clothing. Every time one of my kids has a birthday, I'm getting 50 and 30 and 40% off coupons for purchases for that month. So I'm smart about when I actually spend the money for clothing when my kids need them. I plan ahead of time. Another thing that you could do is actually make a budget. Now, this is important because as you determine, like, you can look at your finances. You can say, okay, I'm bringing in this much money per month. And if I set a goal to save, let's just say it's $10,000, then I know I'm going to need to save. I think when I did the calculations, it was like $400, $417 a month. So where is that money going to come from? Okay. You need to determine where and how can you cut spending to be able to bring that money, keep that money in your pocket. Now, one of the things that we did, that my husband and I did, this is before we had kids, and we still do it now, is we actually set a spending threshold. So we had our own like debit cards, but if the purchase was more than $50, then we would call the other person and say like, hey, I want to buy this, is it cool? Do you think that we need this? And we would talk about it, because then you're actually holding yourself accountable to another person. Now, if you're single, one of the things that you could do is, I've heard of the 30-day rule, where you're thinking about a purchase or you want to buy something. You actually wait 30 days. You wait 30 days to decide if it's something that you actually like really want or that you need. Most of the time, if you don't really need it, you're going to forget about it in 30 days. So that's a really good tool that you could use as well. Here's another tip for you. Stop drinking so much. Alcohol is expensive, and your liver will thank you for not drinking as much. But that is definitely an unnecessary expense, especially like if you're going out to eat. Maybe you guys aren't going out as much now because of the current state of our country, but at the same time, it's still something to keep in mind. You don't need to spend a whole lot of money on cocktails and hard liquor and whatever else. Like, drink water. It's probably better for your body anyway. The next tip I have for you is don't spend so much money on entertaining your family or your kids. Our kids don't really need as much as we think they do. And speaking of which, in the next video, I'm going to be doing a video on low-cost family activities. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, you hit the notification bell so that you don't miss that. But our kids really want quality time. They don't need a lot of stuff. And so even when you're planning experiences for your children, they don't need to be so grand that you're going into debt for doing it. Another thing that you could do is negotiate your credit, your interest rate on your credit cards, or you could do a balance transfer. Now, we've done this before. We had a whole lot of debt, and the credit card company, I called them. I said, look, I've been a member here for the last it was like over 8 years, and my interest rate was something insane, like 24%. And I'm like, I've never been late or anything, and they wouldn't lower it. So I said, fine, we're going somewhere else. And I took my little balance transfer over to a different bank, and I was able to get 0% interest there for 18 months, which allowed me to pay off the credit card in 18 months without having to pay all of the interest. So that's something that you could look into as well, doing a balance transfer. Or even if you have been in good standing with your credit card company, sometimes they will lower your interest rate. It just kind of all depends, I guess, on their mood that day, or I don't know how all that stuff works, but it's worth calling and finding out if that's something you can do. The next thing I have for you is eat at home. We all know that restaurants upcharge everything. It costs way more to eat out than it does at home. If you don't know how to cook, you can use the wonderful world of YouTube to learn how to cook. It's really not as hard as you think. And even going along with that, eating more fresh produce, like fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, is actually cheaper than having to purchase a bunch of meat or purchasing a bunch of processed food. It's healthier for your body. It's easier to cook. And you'll end up saving money in the process. Another thing that you could do is declutter your home. Now, we all know that in America, we have the propensity to have a lot of things. And that is something that needs to change. Most of the time, we have way more than what we need. So as you declutter your home, you can throw things away. You can even sell some of the items that you don't need anymore if they're in good condition. But also, too, it's conditioning your mind to realize, like, hey, I don't need as much as I think I do. Usually when you see a lot of things around your home, like, number one, you forget what you have and you end up buying more. But then also, too, is just you have the need to fill up, like, your house. And so that's another thing. Get a smaller house. Like, get a smaller house. You can lower your monthly payment by doing so. And then also, you don't have as much space that you have the need or that you feel the need to actually fill your home with unnecessary things. If you don't want to buy a smaller house, the least that you could do is rent out your rooms or get a roommate. I know several people that do this. They buy their home and then they rent out to people that they trust, other friends, especially if you're a young adult or you don't have any kids or anything like that. It's easier to do if you're in that type of situation. If you have a basement, you can also look into turning that into like an Airbnb or a rental property. And that's another way that you can actually bring in money and save money on your mortgage payment as well. Another thing that you could do, which I kind of mentioned already, is to pay off your debt. Now, in the last video, I talked to you guys about how we actually were able to do that. But if you are no longer paying on loans and credit cards, then you're able to save that money. Another thing that you could do is cancel your unused membership. So we talked about maybe hopping on to somebody else's membership, but even going beyond like TV subscriptions, you've got gym memberships. I know some people have like other memberships to like social media things and like all these different platforms that offer them. If you're not using it, then just go ahead and cancel it. You might think like, oh, well, it's only $10, $5, whatever. Like, that stuff makes a huge difference over time. Another thing that you could do is to get a life insurance policy or a life annuity policy. And let me know in the comment section if you want me to make a video about that. It's kind of, I think I need more time to kind of explain what it is and what it does. You can do the research on your own as well. But that's something that we have where if something happens to us, we have the money to pull out from there. So we are actually, some of our money that we're saving, we put it in there so that it grows interest. And then that way we have more of it if we were to ever need it. Another thing that you could do is find a better job or even get a second job. Now this might require some sacrifice on your part. But if you want to have more money, then sometimes that means making more money, because I know that, there are some people who live in certain parts of the United States where the cost of living is really high. And there's nothing that you can do about that, but if you want to pay off debt or if you want to save money, then you need to be making more money. If that means getting a second job or even starting a business, that's something that you can do as well. There are tax write-offs for you if you have a home-based business. Think of, again, this goes back to having a vision for your life. Where do you want to be in the next 5 years, in the next 3 years? And so it's a goal of mine to have multiple streams of income. Well, where is that income going to come from? Well, I need to dig deep and I need to find and discover things that I'm good at that I can actually monetize. How can I lend and, show my gift to other people to the point where they want to support me? And so if you have a talent or an ability, start a business. And even if it's just to, your friends and family, it might start out that way, but it could potentially grow to something that you never thought that it could grow to. And so that's how you're able to bring in more money as well. Now, I would be remiss if I did not mention this, is to actually be generous. The Bible talks about when you are generous, God blesses you. And I always like to use the analogy whenever I do the announcements at church. I always use the analogy of the closed hands, right? If your hands are closed, nothing can get in, nothing goes out, right? You want to keep everything that you have for yourself. Nothing's going out, but also nothing is getting in. So if you open your hands and you're generous, and you want to bless other people, God is then able to bring things back to you. And so I always encourage people to, whether it's you're regularly giving to your church, or you are volunteering your time, or you are giving of your finances to other organizations that are helping people, find a cause that you can support. And you'll be surprised at all of the blessings that come back to you. My last tip for you is to don't give up. It might be some months where you're only able to save like $5, and there might be another month where you're able to save like $100 or even more than that. And so I would encourage you, don't get discouraged. Just keep, taking those baby steps. Remember, every choice that you're making should be moving you and propelling you forward towards the life that you want to have in the future. So let's set a goal. Let's make a plan to save. I want you to write it down. If you need to go back to the goal setting video, do so. But set a goal. I want you to write it down, and let's get started on doing that for the rest of this year. I hope all of these tips were helpful for you. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your favorite ways to save money? I always love hearing from you guys. Don't forget, hiding is overrated, and I'll see you next time.